Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on something that affects pretty much every major milestone in our lives. But honestly, it usually feels like a complete mystery. We're going to look closely at how financial institutions truly evaluate your creditworthiness. We're talking about the specific metrics, the actual mindset that lenders use before they ever decide to hand over the keys to a new car, approve a mortgage, or give you that new credit card.
Because look, we've all felt that knot in our stomach when applying for a loan, right? You submit the paperwork and then you just wait. But what exactly is going on behind those closed doors? How do lenders actually separate the low-risk borrowers from everybody else? Well, it's not guesswork, and there's definitely no magic involved. Lenders rely on a very strict, data-driven methodology to figure out your probability of default. And default is really just industry jargon for the likelihood that you'll go 90 days or more without making a payment. Okay, let's dive right into this. It really all starts with one word: confidence. At its core, having good credit isn't just about some arbitrary three-digit number. It's a direct reflection of a lender's confidence in you. When an underwriter looks at your application, they're basically acting like financial detectives. They're digging for concrete clues in your history. They want to know with absolute statistical certainty that you have both the means and the motivation to pay back whatever they lend you, plus interest, right on time. So here is our agenda for today. We're going to decode the lender's secret grading rubric. We'll cover 1. The lender risk mindset. 2. Character, willingness to repay. 3. Capacity, ability to repay. 4. Calculating debt to income, or DTI. And 5. Collateral, the safety net. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the lender risk mindset. You have to remember, financial institutions are sitting on a massive mountain of historical data about client behavior. What they do is take your raw data, things like how long you've been at your job, your current debts, your payment history, and they feed all of that into complex statistical models. This essentially transforms your raw application into a predictive measure of default probability. They are literally mapping your past and present circumstances against thousands of other people to predict your financial future. Wild, right? But to assess this risk objectively, seasoned experts don't just stare at raw numbers all day. They also rely on foundational principles known as the expert approach. Specifically, they're evaluating 3 critical qualitative dimensions which are famously known as the 3 C's: character, capacity, and collateral. Together, these 3 pillars give them a complete 360-degree view of your financial health and reliability. Which brings us to Section 2, character, or your willingness to repay. Now, in the lending world, character has absolutely nothing to do with your personality. It doesn't matter if you're the nicest person on the block or a great friend. It is a strict, cold measure of your integrity and trustworthiness based entirely on your past behavior. Lenders operate on one very basic assumption here. Past behavior is the single most reliable predictor of future behavior. They are scouring your credit report to see exactly how you've handled borrowed money in the past. And it paints a very clear picture. A long history of making timely payments? Boom, you are painted as a low-risk applicant. You have proven your character. But on the flip side, if you have prior delinquencies, payment defaults, or if you're heavily maxing out your credit cards, that screams high risk. If you have a habit of paying late, their confidence in you just drops off a cliff. Your character profile is built transaction by transaction, month after month. Let's move on to our next C in Section 3. Capacity, or your ability to repay. So here is the critical difference. While character shows your willingness to pay, capacity measures if you actually have the financial cash flow to do it. Think about it. You might have the absolute best intentions in the world and a spotless moral compass when it comes to your debts. But if your bank account is totally empty at the end of the month, you lack capacity. Lenders have to ensure that giving you a new loan isn't going to push you over a financial cliff. To figure this out, creditors look for specific clues to build a solid picture of your financial stability. They're going to verify your occupation and exactly how long you've worked in your industry, which tells them if your income is stable. They look at your gross income, your regular monthly expenses, and any assets you hold. It's a top-to-bottom check to make sure your paychecks are consistent enough to absorb a brand new monthly payment. And how do they actually measure that? That's Section 4, calculating debt to income, or DTI. We can actually break this math down into 2 super easy steps. First, you just add up all your fixed monthly debt obligations. So we're talking rent or your mortgage, car loans, student loans, and your minimum credit card payments. Just a quick note, you do not include variable living expenses like groceries or utility bills here. Okay, step 2. You divide that total debt number by your gross monthly income, which is just your income before taxes are taken out. The result you get? That is your DTI percentage. And here is the absolute magic benchmark you need to know: 43%. Now, sure, lenders have slightly different tolerances for risk, but generally speaking, they want to see your DTI sitting below that 43% maximum threshold. Some lenders might even demand a much lower ratio depending on the specific type of loan you want. If your DTI creeps above 43%, lenders start to worry. They think, okay, this person is overextended and they probably won't have the capacity to handle any unexpected financial shocks. But keep in mind, this ratio is highly dynamic. It is definitely not some fixed score that's permanently tattooed on your forehead. A sudden drop in income, say a job loss or having to take a lower-paying gig, will instantly spike your DTI ratio, which completely changes how lenders view your capacity. But it goes the other way, too. Paying off your car loan or finally getting that raise at work will lower your DTI, which instantly makes you a much more attractive lower-risk borrower.
Finally, let's look at Section 5, collateral, the safety net. Collateral is simply a tangible, real asset. Think of a piece of property or house that you pledge as security against the loan. You see this all the time with mortgages or auto loans, which are called secured loans. Basically, if for some reason your character and capacity fall through and you default on the loan, the creditor is still completely protected because they have the legal right to just seize the property to get their money back. It mitigates their risk in a huge way.
But hey, collateral isn't just limited to real estate. It can absolutely include liquid assets, like your savings accounts or your investment portfolios. These provide what lenders call a secondary source of repayment. For a lender, seeing that you have substantial savings is a massive relief. It acts as a powerful buffer, reassuring them that even if the worst happens and you lose your job, you still have the reserve cash to keep making payments while you get back on your feet.
So knowing exactly how character, capacity, collateral, and your DTI all work together, that puts you firmly in the driver's seat of your financial future. Once you realize that lenders aren't just handing out arbitrary approvals or denials, but they are systematically grading you on these specific areas, you can take total control. You can actively choose to pay down a debt to fix your DTI or build up your savings to strengthen your collateral. You literally have the power to lower your own risk profile. Since you now hold the insider formula, the mystery is totally gone. These lenders are just looking for confidence backed up by hard data. You can start by checking your credit report and running your own DTI math today. So I'll leave you with this final question. If an underwriter sat down and looked at your financial life story right now, would they confidently bet on your future? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.